Greetings, cinephiles. Are you looking for a movie analysis podcast that stands above the rest? Then look no further than Collateral Cinema, the only movie podcast that matters.
We analyze good movies, we analyze bad movies, and yes, we also analyze the in-betweens of the world of cinema.
So if you like what you hear, find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts.
And yes, my friends, we are 420 friendly. So when you listen to us, smoke it if you've got it. And now, here's a new episode of Collateral Gaming. The show starts right now.
I'm Ashley Chancellor.
And I'm Megan Gomez.
And this is Collateral Gaming.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Collateral Gaming, where we talk good games, bad games, and everything in between. And yes, friends, well, unfortunately, I do not because it induces anxiety. This is a 420 friendly podcast. Welcome to our wonderful, beautiful episode of The Witcher.
Hell yeah. So today we are doing The Witcher 3. This is going to be part one of a two-part episode. I am midway through the game right now as we speak. I'm in Skellige, and I still have some Novigrad stuff to do. But by part two, I hope to have completed the game completely so we can get into in-game spoilers. For this episode, we'll probably touch on the gameplay mostly.
Yeah. I mean, whatever you want to talk about. This is you're the virgin player. I feel like when we started this podcast, you were introducing me to everything, and now I'm the one introducing you to games, and we're very backwards, and I love it.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about. It's about us all picking games that, and exposing each other to games or sharing a Bond experience over, in the case of a lot of Zelda titles. But in this case, The Witcher is a video game series, or actually a franchise, that prior to this last couple months, I had never touched. I'd never watched any of the Netflix series, played any of the games, and certainly haven't read any of the short stories or novels. But let me tell you, I am engrossed. And that all started with this game. This is definitely one of the best video games I've ever played. I know it's certainly regarded as one of the greatest video games of all time. It may very well be the best open-world action RPG I've played.
Wow, even over Red Dead?
Ooh, that is hard. Is Red Dead considered an action RPG, though? Is it an RPG?
I don't know. I know that there, like, a lot of people, when they talk about, like, their favorite games and stuff, like, they kind of hold these two akin to each other, just because of the mannerisms, I guess, of Geralt and of, Arthur Morgan. So, I don't know.
I think Red Dead is just an action-adventure, but they're similar, right? They're both open-world action-adventure games. I gotta say,
men.
If your question is, do I like this more than Red Dead? I certainly have invested more time into this game than I did Red Dead, which we covered back, I think in season 1 or 2, season 2, I believe. We covered
when we were young warthogs.
Yes, but Megan, this was your pick, so go ahead and tell me about your experience with this game, and why you picked it.
So I like Henry Cavill. I had to sneak him in there. I was a huge fan of the game. I have played it a lot on and off through the years. I think I've only ever done like one full like ending playthrough. For me, it's a lot like Skyrim. I think I've only ever completed Skyrim one time, but I have always put like hundreds of hours into it. This one I haven't played as much in my adulthood. I played it a little bit more when I was younger. But I genuinely love Geralt and the world building and the storyline and the lore of The Witcher. And I had been thinking about mentioning it for whenever we started to talk about the season, because I knew it needed to be done eventually. But I know that also I do want to eventually talk about the show as well, because there's a lot to be unpacked there. And this has multimedia. So not only do we have a game, there's also a book series, and there's the wildly famous Netflix series. There's so much, and they're all kind of tied in together and incorporated, and they all show different iterations of a very complex character. And I feel like it's a very complex universe that we hadn't quite delved into, and I wanted to get some other bigger chapters out of the way before talking about like the monstrosity, the beautiful monstrosity that is The Witcher. And I was like, Ash, it's time. I've been waiting patiently. We've done my favorite games. It's time to do one that none of us have really had too much exposure to, except for sporadically over the years. And it's time to go. Let's go. Let's roll.
Hell yeah. Yeah, so I had no exposure to this game at all. I'd heard of it. Somebody had even told me that this was like The Legend of Zelda, but for targeted towards a mature audience. And I can definitely see a lot of that. Although my hot take is that Zelda isn't really an RPG, except for Zelda 2.
I mean, I can agree. Yeah. Well, I mean, also, so I don't know if you knew this or if you did any research before going into the game, but the senior environment developer actually was very, very inspired by Zelda when making the environment for this game. So that's why it kind of feels very Zelda-esque, is because like he was heavily inspired by Zelda to make the world that he did. And a lot of it was actually my favorite, Twilight Princess.
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah, so this was developed by CD Projekt Red. This was their last big game, I think, before Cyberpunk, if I'm not mistaken.
Indeed-a-loo. In 2015.
Yeah. So, big difference in things. I know, as I understand, they actually are working on The Witcher 4 as we speak. It is a thing that is happening. But The Witcher 3, I think, was such a huge deal because it was actually the first in the series to adopt the open world formula. So from what I've heard, the previous two Witcher games, originally I believe were PC games, and they're a lot more linear. This was the one that actually expanded the world, and to date is one of the largest in-game worlds ever in video gaming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of funny because I was thinking about it when getting ready for the podcast, and it's very I feel like when comparing it to like other ones that we've done throughout the seasons, I feel like God of War pulled a page out of The Witcher's book, because the first two games are very linear, and then you jump into this open world, and it's the same exact thing with God of War jumping into the God of War 2018 game. Like, it's very similar, and I felt like that's another reason why I thought you would really enjoy it, because like you go from a linear story, which I did not play the previous two, but I know quite a number of people that have, and that might be, I might get burned at the stake for that. I'm sorry, guys. But I was like, it is interesting to look at, especially later now that we're in 2024, and we're looking back at some games. We don't always just play the newest game. We do delve back a little bit because there is lore to be had and fun to be had. Okay. And that's just
much
I was
lore.
like,
God, that's why I went and started watching the Netflix series, actually. Because as I understand it, the Netflix series adapts the short stories and the books. The video games actually take place after the books. And so, it actually was kind of interesting starting playing The Witcher 3, getting introduced to some characters, and then going back and kind of watching, like, these characters' backstories in the Netflix series. And I haven't watched all the way through. I got up to season 2. I got to say, Henry Cavill is absolutely fantastic. I have not read the short stories or the books, so I don't have anything to compare it to, but I am enjoying the story as it's being told to me. And also, that song is a fucking banger. Toss a coin to your Witcher. Oh, Valley of Plenty.
Yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And also, Henry Cavill is a huge, he has poured thousands of hours into this game. He is a huge fan of this game, and that was another reason why there's a lot of moments, especially as you're watching the Netflix show, I feel like you'll see them, where you'll see kind of some of the mannerisms that Geralt has in The Witcher 3.
Yes.
You'll see Henry Cavill actualize and pull those into the Netflix series, and that's just another reason to love it. Another reason why I wanted to talk about it, because I feel like, we talk a lot about video games, but we don't talk a lot about games that get pulled into, multimedia things like this, and there's a lot of things that are going to be coming into development that we should get excited for. like the Horizon series is going to be getting an adaptation, and there's a couple other big ones coming out soon. So I really wanted to kind of start delving into this, and like the art that is like watching something that you've immersed your body and brain into television media and watching it be done so beautifully is just I could go on for days. We need to. Can we please do a Collateral cinema episode on The Witcher, please?
I mean, yeah, I would be down because I mean I'm really enjoying the series so far. I've heard that it has made a lot of notable departures from its source material, and some people aren't very happy with that. But again, I gotta say, just from the perspective of somebody who's watching this, I really enjoy it. And I did pick up on the fact that Cavill actually really emulated video game Geralt's mannerisms in his performance. Like I could tell. I'm like, no, this is the same character. He's playing him like in the video game. And I don't know how close that is to the depiction in the books, or if the books are descriptive enough that but I could definitely tell that there were elements of the video game in his performance. And as I understand it, he's read the source material too, so
yes,
I don't think that he would do anything that was too out of character. And yeah, I just got to say, this game alone, actually, before I even got into the series, fully invested me into the lore. It drew me in with its characters and just everything that's going on. And what's kind of cool about this is that even though this is the third game in the series, it doesn't rely too heavily on
its predecessors.
Yeah, it doesn't rely too heavily on its predecessors. In fact, a lot of the like in-game lore is in the game. It's just that was kind of a funny way of putting it. Hey, the in-game lore is in the game. What do you know? But through the in-game lore, like in like books and whatnot, you can actually pick up on a lot of the history of the world and of certain characters, and that's really nice. And you can find those books just about anywhere you go, and so it's a good way to get up to speed on everything that's going on. And I mean, this is a standalone story, although it is set with characters that have interacted in the past. There's enough here for you to get an impression and for the story to be able to be told. Of course, we'll get into the story, I think, in part 2 more once we've or once I've actually completed the game and we can talk fully about spoilers. But the gameplay is definitely a big hook for me. I mean, I was actually really impressed by the combat. This came out last generation, and it still looks phenomenal. I mean, I was impressed by like just the individual blades of grass. And I was playing this on PS5 in performance mode, so being able to fight in all these different monsters in 60 frames per second was definitely nice.
Oh God, I can only imagine.
Yeah, I was really into it.
I will say we finally upgraded. We finally did. Alan got a Series X, and I have a Series S now. So we're up to current generation on the Xboxes. We're not quite there with PlayStation yet because the federal government wants to fuck us in the ass with no lube. So it's fine. Thanks, federal government. Love you. Thanks, bestie.
Oh, tell me about it. I got, actually, after all the fees, like TurboTax fees or whatever, which I guess I learned afterwards I could have avoided. I don't know. But I'm getting less than $100 back. And a couple years ago, I got like over $2,000. So I guess I should be happy that I wasn't overcharged this year and that the government only took what it needed to. But I don't know, man. I was just hoping to buy a new computer, honestly.
Dude, I know. We're saving up for it, though. We're saving up for a new PlayStation because I'm, like, really anxious to play. And my poor PS4, man, I love that thing to pieces. And she has made her journey. I think it's time for her to retire and just be a pretty little self ornament. Poor thing.
Perhaps so. I know that I almost got to that point with my PS4, and that's when I finally buckled down and I got the PS5 on a payment plan. But I mean, Bo's still using my PS4 and it works great. You just got to clean the thing out every once in a while, I think. But I knew like it was going to happen. I mean, that being said, my Xbox 360 still works, and it didn't. My disk drive wasn't opening, so I took the plastic casing off, and now the thing works. So go figure.
I saw that when I was at work, and I was like, what is he doing? And then I like read the text later, and I was like, only Ash would have this ingenuity. Okay.
I was trying to follow like the online instructions, and it was like insert a paper clip or a safety pin here, and it just wasn't working. So I was like, well, let me try to like investigate. And then oops, I broke the casing a little bit. And then I was like, you know what? Let me just take all this off, and it opened. And I'm enjoying Fable 1 and 2 on my original Xbox 360 now. Which is it's an interesting set of games to play alongside The Witcher 3 because they're both action RPGs, open world action RPGs even. But The Witcher, I gotta say, is just puts almost everything else to shame with just how much there is to do in the game. Not only does the combat feel good, but like there's just so much to do.
Yeah, you won't complete this game in under 100 hours unless you're just doing straight up.
I already hit over 100 hours.
Like going in, yeah, no, even if you're a side quester or a completionist, like 99% of Collateral is, like we're all completionists. It's fine. It's casual. Even Dan, shout out Dan. I know he's a completionist too. Just like even going into the side quest, like each region has like its own, like the side quests, they may seem mundane, but each character has their own individual dialogue and like comments about the environment around them. Like that's kind of unheard of in a lot of things. Like like you'll see it in, like, for example, Alan and I have been playing Hogwarts Legacy. That was our Christmas gift to each other. So we've been playing that, and like if you I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but let's say you kill something, right? They'll be like, oh, heard you did this, or heard you followed this person, and you're like, how the fuck did you hear about that? But it's very similar to that. And this game just, Hogwarts just came out last year. So the fact that, we're at this point and it's 2015 and they're like talking about the environment around them is just so fucking cool, man. It's so fun. Like there's so many words that I feel like I have for this game, but yet like no word is enough. I don't know if that makes any sense.
I get it because, and my thing is that, my sense of completion is satisfied because every time you go to a new area, there's a set of side quests to undergo, and they're all, they all have levels next to them. So you kind of know, like, when should I take on? And so I only take on side quests that I'm on the appropriate level for. And I try to do it in a logical way. So, like, hey, I'm in the Velen region. I'm going to take care of all the Velen side quests. And even, like, when I'm on these specific areas, once you get to Novigrad, it gets a little murky because some of the side quests are in Skellige. So I'm like, oh, man, maybe I should visit Skellige now and get some of those out of the way. So that's what I'm doing. And I finished, I think, the main quests in Novigrad. I just need to go back and do all the side quest stuff. Once I get to a good breaking point in Skellige quest line. But it was just sort of this like logic to it. But even doing that, even selecting side quests just based on what I'm close to and what level I'm at, I'm finding that I'm actually over leveled. My character, like Geralt, is significantly higher than the level of most of the side quests in the game now that are available to me. And I know that the game actually limits the amount of experience that you get whenever you take on 2 low-level quests. So I'm like, damn. But I'm just so like into the world, and there's just so many things. Even when you're just wandering around from point A to point B, you'll come across a quick little quest on the way, or you'll find like a monster nest, or a pack of wolves will come after you, and it's just, there's just always something to do. This is one of the best open worlds I've actually ever seen. It's filled with life and challenge. You might come across an enemy that's too high level for you, and you got to go, nope, the fuck out of there.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
One of my only complaints, though, is the game's autosave is not very good. So save frequently.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Pull an old school and just make sure that you save every 30 seconds. It's fine. And double save and triple save.
Yes, exactly. And that way you can save scum too, because there are so many little decisions that can impact the world in ways that you can't yet imagine. Even in some of the side quests, you're dealing with moral quandaries. And, there's sometimes there isn't a good option, and even Geralt says in the Netflix series, and he reiterates this in the game, I believe it's actually a quote from the short story, but he doesn't pick the lesser evil. He doesn't like to. He'd rather just not pick at all. And yet this game forces you into situations where you do kind of have to pick something. And in some ways, picking nothing is picking something, right? So, the game kind of forces you to think.
Absolutely.
So I found myself frequently reloading saves because I didn't like the outcome of what I just did. So let me go try the other option.
And some of them are timed, which creates more panic.
Yes. Yeah. And the timed ones. Yeah. And I have to stop myself from looking it up online, because if you look it up online, it'll actually tell you, what this decision will do later on in the story. Because, for instance, with some of the main quest decisions, especially, there's going to be some event, maybe 50 hours down the line as a result of the choice you made just now. And you might get locked out of quests. Or I know there's one particular character that dies if you complete the side quest, before a certain other quest. But if you complete that other quest first, he doesn't die, but then you get locked out of a couple other quests. So, and there's other ones too, just decisions that you have to make. Even in the tutorial area, I found myself really questioning,
oh my God,
did I do the right thing?
Yeah, this game will have you questioning every decision you ever make, but it's fine because it's beautiful.
Yeah. And and besides that, some of the big story moments, just even in moment to moment gameplay, as I mentioned before, there is this really in-depth combat system. The controls are a little wonky for a modern AAA game. Not bad, they're just a little awkward. They're a little off. But once you get used to them, they're fine. And but there is just so much, inside of that combat system. Every single enemy in the game has a bestiary entry where it lists specific weaknesses. So you can apply certain types of oil to your weapons in order to inflict more damage against them, but they'll also be weak against certain spells, which are called signs in this game, or a particular type of item. So there's really kind of this strategic component, especially on these Witcher contract missions, where you kind of have to prepare yourself for a tough battle by exploiting the enemy weaknesses. And I actually am really drawn to that type of gameplay.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's not something that you really experience in other games. It's sometimes, you'll have stuff where it's in Zelda, for example, I'll use that because that's the most prevalent thing I can think of. You're going to the fire temple, so make sure you have plenty of fire or ice arrows, and make sure that you have, your warm gear if you're going to the cold parts, all of that stuff. But it's never really been, as intense, I feel like, as The Witcher. Make sure you have and then of course, you've got your two swords. You've got your steel for humans, silver for monsters.
Right.
Love that concept, and I think that's something that's so funny and so cool. Yeah, I feel like it's I want to say Monster Hunter-esque in a way, but in its own unique way, where you specifically prepare in one manner for one specific thing, and then you're like, oh well, what am I gonna do now? Well, I'm prepared for this, and I've just done this, so now I guess I have to go back, do this, and then do this. You have to think a little bit sometimes, which is nice. Some games you get to go brainless, but the ones that you want to think about are the ones that are worth it, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's why I really just kept playing with this and kept investing as much time into it as I did. Besides the fact that we're talking about it on the podcast and I have to. The reason I wanted to keep going was because of that. And you get introduced to that within the tutorial area. When you're preparing for the Griffin fight, it's just one of those things. In preparation for this next boss type enemy you're going to fight. And the game gives you, the bestiary entry in advance for those types of enemies. And you can even start to guess, even when you face enemies in the world, you can even start to figure out, okay, so this is a hybrid type enemy or an elemental type enemy. So they're going to be weak against this particular oil, and they're more than likely weak against this sign or this item. I was just really, really getting into it and really enjoying that strategic nature of combat. And in addition to that, like I said, it's just a lot of fun to pull off. Now, anybody that knows me knows that I'm the type of guy that likes magic in games. So if I have any game that has a mage class, I'm going to go for that. If there is
absolutely every time,
if there's this particular skill tree that focuses on that, that's what I'm going to go towards. And this game actually has that in the form of signs. Now, from what I've heard in the books and the series, Geralt actually doesn't use a lot of signs. In fact, signs are kind of seen, I think, in the Witcher universe as not real magic, but like parlor tricks. Just simple things like, okay, you can light something on fire, like a candle, not like a crowd of humans, right? Like in the game. But I didn't. Yeah. Despite the fact that it's not lore accurate, maybe I'm just kind of like seeing this as like, okay, here's an evolved version of Geralt past this point in the books, or maybe the games just kind of occupy their own universe, because I had to put all of my money into the skill tree for signs, and I did. 100% of all my equipped abilities right now are signs, and have nothing but blue mutagens, large blue mutagens equipped.
Large blue mutagens.
and most of my equipment is sign intensity. Or has sign intensity perks. So I'm like, I can just blitz enemies down. Like I love the flamethrower ability by holding down the Igni sign.
Absolutely.
And also a Quinn is a lot of fun, just being able to have that body shield on for that, especially if you're fighting an enemy that's quite a few levels above yourself, you want to have that on.
Yeah, a Witcher Fusroda, if you will.
Right. It's just really, really, really cool being able to kind of like experiment with these, and then like, okay, let me go to a place of power and like let me get like a sign upgrade. Okay, so I'm just gonna fill my character tree out, and I'm constantly switching out my build in order to be more effective against the enemies that I'm encountering in that area.
Oh yeah, and you have to like constantly think about, okay, well, if I'm heading towards this, like for me, whenever I would like, I'm trying to think of the words that I want to use. My brain is like, when you're like traveling to a specific region, you like try and think about like what it's going to be like, especially like your first playthrough. And then you're like, fuck, it's not that. Looks like I got to rethink this shit. Like, it's so fun.
Exactly.
Once we were many, now we are few. Hunters, killers of the world's filth, witchers, the ultimate killing machines. Among us, a legend, the one they call Geralt of Rivia, the White Wolf.
We meet again, Witcher. Your Imperial Majesty. She's returned, Geralt. After all these years.
Are you sure it's her?
Yes. And she's in danger. Witnesses claim the Wild Hunt follows her. You must find her.
And when I do, what then?
I shall give her what she deserves.
White Wolf, at last. I come for her of the prophecy. Every decision you make will bring devastation. Each choice will lead greater evil.
Yeah, there's just a lot of depth to everything that you do, and you can build Geralt however you want him to be. I mean, there's actually specific pieces of equipment in the game that you can hunt down that are going to be better for different play styles. So if you're not like me, if you don't want to do the magic, maybe you want like a really lore accurate Geralt, you can invest those tokens into other areas. The scene that the ability that he uses in the first episode of the Netflix series where he cuts an arrow in midair with his sword, he can do that in the game. You just have to equip it as an ability.
Yeah.
After unlocking it. So
we love him.
Yeah. See.
I mean, I'm just like Henry Cavill is and always will be one of my favorite actors. So like, just getting the chance to talk about a work that he's accomplished and the fact that he gives a shit so much about like this, like I feel like in a lot of aspects there are a lot of actors and even voice actors out there that don't really fully dedicate themselves to the craft as others do. Henry is a really good example here in The Witcher. Johnny Depp for Captain Jack Sparrow. For me personally, Lance Reddick for Silence. Fuck, that hurt to even say his name because so sad that he passed. Yeah. But Lance Reddick in as Silence, he really dedicated himself to that. I feel like there's a lot of moments, especially I feel like The Witcher is like one of the greatest examples of like somebody who really gives a shit and dedicates themselves to the craft, and it's like something that you've never really like seen on that level of dedication unless you're like a gamer, and like Henry Cavill is just like us, and I love that. I love the fact that he's the biggest fucking nerd on the face of this planet.
Oh, 100%. That's why I love him so much too. Like, yeah, he is just, and it's kind of sad actually too, because it's like, okay, so he's not doing The Witcher anymore, and he's not doing Superman anymore. What is he doing? He's going to be in that Ungentlemanly Warfare, and then he's going to be doing something else. What is it? My brain. Why is it not? He's got some upcoming stuff. We'll just look it up.
I know he's got Argyle coming out. Let me hold on.
Yeah. I mean,
not that he'll ever hear this, but Henry, I'm going to stalk your Instagram.
I mean, just looking at his upcoming filmography, he's got Argyle, Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, and a Guy Ritchie action film apparently in the works. And then looks like he's going to be in
Warhammer.
Squadron 42. Warhammer. Okay.
Yeah, he's going to be in a Warhammer live action. And he's obsessed with Warhammer, so like I'm super happy for him on that front.
Oh, yeah, good. I'm glad that Henry Cavill's like one of those guys that actually like petitions for roles that he loves. And I can
he heard about this and he like spammed the director and he was like, if I don't fucking play Geralt, I'm going to blacklist you. And he was like, oh, fuck, okay.
I know, like, and he's just so perfect. It's so much now that there are I've actually seen quite a few mods for this game that change it to where you have Henry Cavill's likeness.
Oh, that's beautiful. I need that. I really need that.
Right?
And thank you.
Yeah. So if you're playing this on PC, that is something that you can do. You can be Henry Cavill with mods. And I can definitely see why he fell in love with this game. It is definitely one of the greatest games of all time, even. And I'm only a certain part of the way through the game. I don't actually know what my completion is, but I'm trying to complete as much as I can in each area. Like I said, I'm just having some issues where I got to the point where those Skellige side quests, and I'm still trying to complete Novigrad, but those Skellige side quests are just getting lower and lower in proportion to my actual level. Like, I'm like double the level that I'm supposed to be, and those quests aren't going to give out any experience. So I'm like, okay, fuck. Let me go travel over there, but let me go wrap up a few things here first. So I find myself riding across, the Novigrad region, and before I know it, I'm on the other end of Velen, going to some Niflgaard outpost that just is this massive thing on the map, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Oh, and it's just like rows of barracks, and I'm like, holy shit. And there's this
it's quality time with Roach. It's fine.
Yeah. By the way, why is he so mean to Roach?
I don't know. But he's just an asshole to Roach.
In the game specifically, because I don't think he acts that way in the series, but in the game he's like, move it. And I'm like, bro,
yeah, he's
chill.
like, move.
I feel bad for the pole horse. I mean, he always comes no matter where you're at. He's there immediately at your beck and call. He comes at your whistle. You can fall off a bridge with him and land in the water, and Roach will come back as soon as you whistle.
Yeah, no, he's definitely the best mount in any video game for sure. Like, let's be so fucking for real.
I don't know how the fuck he got to Skellige, but he did. He got to Skellige with me. And he just.
Well, I left you in fucking Valen, but whatever.
Like, I'm just like, yeah, man. Did you charter a ship here? Like, I don't know, bro. Like, yeah, that's incredible. Yes. That is, I'm sorry, Epona. Roach is actually the MVP.
Yeah, no, it's. And the fact, so I guess in the lore, it's kind of like, I'm going to use a generic Disney reference here because I can, but I don't know if you've seen Jungle Cruise.
I've not.
Okay, so basically, there's like a cat, and like he names the cat the same thing every single time.
Okay, so like Geralt and Roach.
And it's like Geralt and Roach. I don't know why. I just love it so much, but it's like I love horses in video games. Let's be so fucking for real. Everybody knows that like horses are my thing when it comes to like if I could choose like a companion animal, because like all of my vehicles have been named after a Disney horse, right? But the fact that I love Roach more than Shadowmere says something. If Roach is better than Shadowmere, okay?
Those are,
and I fucking love Shadowmere.
That is a hot take.
I'm fighting words to myself, but like. Shadowmere, like, you can ride the back of a dragon unofficially and be fine, and it's casual, and Shadowmere can fall out of the fucking sky, and it's fine, but Roach will be there even if you're fucking mean to him. That says something.
I know. Roach is he's the ride or die, man. And Geralt, you better take better care of him. I know that you're just going to name the next one Roach, but this particular Roach, the one in this game, like, treasure your time with him, because that
you
is
need to breed him.
yeah, exactly. Like,
make his babies as smart as him. Please.
That being said, I do feel like the horse controls are a little awkward too. Like, I had some difficulty with that. Roach gets stuck in places. There's a handy little jump button that just allows you to just fucking jump like 10 feet in the air and get out of wherever
fine.
you're
It's
at.
Casual. He just levitates. Yeah, I love that. It definitely has. It's very Skyrim as far as like the horse mechanics, but it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, and at least he does the thing that we've seen in a lot of more recent open world games. In fact, where he just kind of follows the road if you just hold down the button, which I
love
appreciate. That. Yes, because that's how it should be. You don't have to tell a horse where to go. A horse is just going to follow a road. Like, that's natural. My only problem is that Roach doesn't seem to take the auto path doesn't seem to actually go in the direction of the quest or whatever waypoint I've selected on my map. It just picks a direction. No,
that's
goes.
Definitely subconsciously Roach's revenge. Is he's like, no, fuck you. I'm gonna go to the right instead of the left. You were mean to me.
I just wish that it could either you could either have it like there. I know like Assassin's Creed did it to where like you hit a button and the auto ride will actually follow the quest marker. Or just have him if he's going to default to a certain direction, instead of it being random, I'd rather it be like the quest marker or my waypoint on the map, one or the two. But it is what it is. You just have to pay attention while you're riding. Even combat on the horse is just like, you might as well just give up. It's a little clunky, but when you do pull it off, it's cool as fuck. Like when you just slice a dude's head off on horseback, like fuck yeah.
That 1 in 10 time that you do it, it's fucking awesome. But the other 9 times you're like, Roach, the fuck. Go run away, please go.
Yeah,
so.
And then the horse is getting scared, and you gotta, okay, all right, let's just get serious here. But yeah, I mean, it is fun whenever it happens. In fact, speaking of the dismembering, I was surprised with how brutal Geralt is with some of these finishers. I mean, there's even items you can equip that can increase your chance of dismembering.
Yes, he's the best swordsman on the continent. Absolutely.
That's why every single
BFFR.
time somebody picks a fight, I'm like,
yeah. Guess I'm in my villain era. Sup, bitches.
Why the fuck are so many people just like ready to go toe to toe with a Witcher? That's what I want to know. Like, are you stupid?
Right. If I saw a Witcher, I would run for my fucking life. I'd be like, nope, there is something near here that does not need to be here. I am gone. Goodbye. You're hot. Peace. Like, no.
That being said, I've heard in the books, Geralt in particular is much less superhuman. Like, apparently he is humbled by a dude with a stick who breaks his knee, and his knee is like broken like the rest of the books or something. Video game Geralt just kind of shrugs a lot of things off, but his body's just like covered in scars. So
fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Geralt
Go
is a
into
fucking G.
what's it called? Into the it's called something different in every, and I'm thinking of Hogwarts and I can't remember the name of it, but I want to call it the Maiden Chamber, and that's wrong.
What's the function of it?
Basically where you can like upgrade.
Oh, just like
you like go into that chamber and it releases gas.
I'm trying to think if there's an equivalent of that, and I don't know. I know I do like the upgrade system, like just going and like picking like what abilities, and we touched on that earlier. And it's tantalizing because you're like, oh, I kind of want that, but I kind of want that, but I kind of want that.
It's hard too because especially if like I know for me, like when it comes to like games like this where you can kind of a little bit choose your play style, I get kind of indecisive, and I feel like that's the point that puts me into a rut. Because like I wanna play, the game as it's intended, but when it gives me too many options and too many different play styles, I feel like I always end up trying to go back to stealth. And not every main character is stealth. Like Geralt is definitely not sneaky at all. He's got too big of shoulders for that because he carries the whole fucking universe on his shoulders, but it's fine.
I don't even think there's a stealth mechanic in this game.
No, there's not, because he's a big giant fucking brute whose footsteps sound like someone's stomping like a fucking temper tantrum.
It's not his style, but no,
it's not.
I think it's kind of cool actually, because a lot of times you have to sit and think, and like I'll try to make a decision based on whether I think Geralt would make that decision. But I think all the decisions in game are picked as things that like are in character, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I feel like there's versatility, but it's still just like how would you, if it really does pull into the role play of like how do you think Geralt would react in this situation, or how do you think Geralt would handle this situation, which is epic.
But the one in White Orchard, the tutorial area, that one's unavoidable. And what's funny is like I was getting heated, and he actually has basically a Butcher of Blaviken moment, and but like I was getting heated because these guys are just giving this innkeep a hard time, and then they're giving Geralt a hard time, and they're fucking racists, and and then like they come at you and it's self-defense, and he just brutally dismembers them, and then like the reality sets in, and like the entire inn is covered in blood, and there's like heads rolling around and stuff, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I just did this.
Oh shit, I'm a fucked up individual.
And that one's unavoidable. There is a later bar fight that you could actually avoid doing, although that innkeep was much nicer about it. He was much cooler about it. That bitch, the one I saved in White Orchard, she comes back later, or maybe it was one of the other villagers. And she comes later in Novigrad, and she's like, she starts just talking shit about you, and I'm like, dude, like I saved your ass. Like, you
Fucking saved
saw
your
what
life,
went
Poe.
down, but whatever.
Yeah.
That's the point, right? That's how you're supposed to feel, about it, and about the persecution he faces, and it's not like he necessarily chose this. I mean, I'm not 100% certain how, because I know, they take them as children. I'm assuming that there's some consent involved. Like, Geralt had to be like, yeah, I'm going to undergo this training. But, as a child, do you really know what you're doing, And I don't know how consensual it is. I haven't actually gotten to that part of the lore, but...
It's so, I mean, you'll kind of see, and I feel like some people will disagree with this, but it's kind of like Yennefer's experience in the Netflix series, where she's kind of it's kind of a forceful thing, like Din Djarin in the Mandalorian. It's kind of like, it's like, do you really have any other choice? Like, would you rather be with this, or try and figure out your life? Like, you can find something to hold on to.
Okay, fair enough then.
Like,
yeah.
It's like when you feel like you're sinking and drowning in the world, this is what you can hold on to, or you have no sense of direction, no sense of self, no sense of knowledge. This is the best option for you, and it's pretty much the only option. This is your way out.
Then yeah, it's like he really didn't get a choice to be how he was, and I think the game artistically presents that, actually, and I think I think this is going to be a good talking point when we get into the story aspect in part 2, but that was something that I experienced in game, and a lot of that is determined by the choices that you make too, and you can decide how much you want to get involved. Because of that bloody incident earlier in the game, later I was much more reserved, and I tried to avoid fights, because basically you're just giving the people fuel to hate you. But then there's that section where, when you get to Novigrad, where they start, where they burn the Doppler and the sorceress, and I quick saved, and then I just started beating those guards down. I just started fighting them, and I knew I was going to reload it because I was going to regret it, but I had to. I had to butcher every soldier in that area, and mind you, one thing I found out is that guards are always over leveled. They're always a few levels over you, so that way, and they just keep coming, and so you're not intended to be able to fight them, and you can't loot them. In fact, and they always respawn. They always come back to life, apparently. That you don't actually kill them, but you knock them out.
Yeah.
I did actually beat those guards to a bloody pulp, and I felt good about it. And then I reloaded. So I don't lose money.
Fair enough. I looked it up because I couldn't remember the exact number, backtracking a little bit. In the Trial of the Grasses, 3 in 10 children survive. So, yeah. It's like once you become a Witcher, even as a child, it's like, well, what
That's
do you do?
right. I remember hearing that too. Is that it's a 3 in 10 chance that they can even survive.
Yeah, so you're surrounded by all these boys that you make friends with, and then it's like, you all go through this trial, and 7 of your friends are going to die. It's like, you kind of, if you go into this blindly, and then it's like, how do you move forward? After you go through these trials, and then, okay, well, there's 3 of us left. What are we going to do? So.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
I feel like it also adds to the complexity of Geralt in the way that he is. Some people say Geralt, some people say Geralt. I try to say Geralt because I feel like that's the most accurate way of saying it. But
that's the way they say it in game. That's the way they say it in the series. So I suspect that that's the way it's supposed to be said.
Fucking Joey Bateman. You need a net. I really want to get. I hope that we get more into the ties between the show and the game in the next episode, because oh my god, there's a lot of ties and there's a lot of funny moments, and yes.
And even some characters like Dandelion / Yaskier. I think we'll kind of get into that into the next episode. Actually, we'll start to wrap things up on here because we're about 48 minutes in now, and my computer is going to die. It's at 9%. So we'll sort of wind things down, but we'll just talk about one more thing as far as the gameplay goes. What is your favorite thing about the gameplay? What's the most fun part of it to you?
Just honestly exploring. And I feel like that's me, and I feel like I say that about any open world game that we choose, but this game really makes exploring fun, and it's a different concept. And it's like you said, there's something to do everywhere you go. There's always something going on around every corner. It's so fun. I love doing all of the quests. I feel like every individual character is unique, and it's not just like a plain Jane, like, oh, let me pick this up and da 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 da. Like every single aspect, every inch, every sound bite, every graphic is individual in this game. And I love that about it.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Like the exploration is top fucking tier. Like it just hands down. Tears of the Kingdom may very well be my favorite video game of all time for various reasons. But if we're going to strictly compare like the exploration aspect, I think The Witcher 3 is actually better at strictly at exploration,
And the immersion, I feel like.
Yeah. And I know that's a really hot take, and maybe I need to finish the game before I say that. But of course, I'm not. That's not even including like the sandbox aspects of Tears of the Kingdom. Maybe Breath of the Wild would be a more apt comparison there. But
yeah,
they're on par with each other anyway. At least in terms of like exploration, this game fucking has.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean.
It's totally fucking there. Like you said, there is always something to do around every corner. Like, you know how many little question mark icons I have on my map? A bunch.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't even want to go after them because I'm just going to over-level Geralt more. But it's going to be fun, I think, in the post-game to just kind of go from place to place. And I like to even just go and, like, scope these out and, just kind of planning it out and looking at where I'm at on the map and what am I going to accomplish while I'm here. That might actually be my favorite part of the game, is just the planning aspect of it. Just how maybe that just particularly appeals to my mind and what I like. But when it comes to exploration, when it comes to difficult boss battles, just the preparation aspect, the strategy behind it, is, I think,
you are very type A, so that tracks.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's my number one favorite thing about it. But we'll talk more about The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt in part 2. We'll specifically get into the story, the characters, and anything else that we missed during this discussion. And maybe even talk a little bit more about parallels between it and the Netflix series and the books. Maybe I may even try to see if I can start watching or reading some of those short stories.
I think I'm going to. They're on my TBR, and I might just have to bump them up on my TBR. Sorry, Iron Flame. Because it keeps intriguing me, and the more you text me about it, the more I'm like, should I read it? Should I do it? Should I put away the smutty novels for like 10 seconds and read the fucking Witcher? Like, do I need the smut? Yes.
Love it. I haven't even read. You're doing better than me. I haven't read a book in forever, and I've been meaning to reread the Harry Potter series for quite some time, and I haven't managed to do that.
I read 127 books last year, I think.
Wow. You see, here I am just trying to reread old books that I really want to reread before I even move on to new stuff.
I'm telling you, dude, get a fucking Kindle, bro. I'm telling you, it's worth it.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I think the last book I read was Inheritance, the last book of the Inheritance cycle. I think that's the last novel I read through, and that was in high school. So. So, but the short stories, I mean, how hard can they be? I mean, how long does it take to get through a short story? 15 minutes, probably? I don't know how long they are, but they're not novel size. It all kind of
depends.
So at least if you go through the short stories, and then I think the novels come after that in the chronology.
So it's 6 fantasy novels and 15 short stories.
Yeah, there you go. So.
Okay.
Maybe I'll check it out. Hopefully, at the very least, I'll have completed the game. I don't know about 100%, but if I have at least completed the main quest and done most of what I'd like to do before that, then we'll be in good shape. But we'll catch you guys on the flip side. We'll try to have that out as soon as possible. I know this episode is out late. This was supposed to be out last month. We're going to kind of visit our schedule this month and see, if we need to make any adjustments as far as that goes in order to get everything out. But expect The Witcher Part 1 and Part 2 out as soon as possible. I mean, Part 1 is already out. You're listening to it. Yay. I feel better in your situation than I do right now about the whole situation. And we're going to also have out our 2-part anniversary special on Fable 1 and Fable 2. since our pilot episode was Fable 3. Megan, if you're interested in that, I know you have an Xbox. I'd love to have you on.
Yeah, I was reading our schedule earlier today, and I think I will definitely have to delve into that. I'm almost done with Hogwarts, which is taking up all of my time because Sebastian Sallow and Ominous God.
Take that energy and let's put it in
Fable, yeah.
No. I'm saying take how you feel about Hogwarts Legacy, and I want to hear about it in the year in review episode.
Ooh, I can do that because I've got some tea. I have tea. I can do that. Let's do that.
Alrighty. So
come on, brain, think of things.
The year in review episode we'll have out very soon. That's going to be just kind of a review of everything in 2023 that we wanted to talk about but didn't get a chance to. So whenever we can get that recorded, we'll do that. Collateral Cinema is doing a similar thing. On Collateral Cinema, we should have both part 1 and part 2 of our Indiana Jones trilogy episode out by the time that y'all are listening to this. Or at least part 2 should be coming out soon. So stick around for that if you like movies and if you listen to Collateral Cinema, the other side of the Collateral Media coin. Find us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also check us out on social media. I'll have links available in the show notes. So go check us out there, and also check out our Patreon where we have if you donate any amount of money, you can get access to exclusive Let's Play video game commentaries, and we'll get some more out soon because Zach actually has a capture card now, and I know he's been wanting to stream some stuff, so we can probably finally get some more Patreon content out, which is going to be great.
I know, I've been talking about that forever too, and I really, really need to just do it and bite the bullet and fucking send it. I've been talking about that forever, and I have some stuff recorded. I just haven't released it or edited it or anything. It's just hanging out. Chilling.
Really? We'll take it. Yeah. I mean, whatever you have, send it to me, and like I'll put it on the Patreon. I'll package it together, and have that out or figure out what to do with it. I think very soon we also wanted to do a Tears of the Kingdom focused bonus round episode, sometime soon. We have a lot of content though, because we've got to play catch up right now, and then there's a lot of new games coming out. I know we're going to be covering on our game launch review episodes both the Apollo Justice Ace Attorney trilogy. Bo and I have already been playing through that, and then also Persona 3 Reload, and then Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is coming out as well. So we're going to be covering that too. And I believe we are going to have a guest host on that. I believe Andrew guested with me on our Fire Emblem Engage episode. Will be joining me for that. Andrew Orozco from Geek News Now.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, stick around for that and more. I think we've been bullshitting long enough. So, we'll see you in part 2.
Never enough.
It's never enough. The story is never ogre. I'm sorry that I just reminded you that thing exists, but it does.
Thank you for that. It's fine. My brain is now burning.
Well, until then, I've been Ashley Chancellor.
And I have been Megan Gomez.
And this has been Collateral Gaming. Shook is love. Shook
Adios,
is life.
friends. See you next time.
Toss a coin to your Witcher.
Stop right now. Yes.
Collateral Gaming is a Collateral Media podcast. All music and game clips are owned by their respective creators and are used for educational purposes only. Please don't sue us. We're poor.